top 15, every coaster enthusiast at one point makes out any type of list ranking their favorite roller coasters for about halfway through 2022, and I feel like I should give my updated list of my favorite coasters. Usually I do a top 25, but I think during the summer I'm just going to give my top 15, about half of what I'll probably give it later this year. Later this year I'll probably do like a top 30 or top 25, but right now I'm just going to rank out my 15 favorite coasters. And to be honest, when you've ridden 111 roller coasters, ranking your favorite coasters tends to be really hard because I don't find a bad roller coaster except for a handful. I actually tend to enjoy all my coasters that I've ridden, and honestly, just making this list out of the top 5 actually became really hard to rank some of the coasters. So here's my top 15 coasters for early 2022. But coming to the number 15 spot, we have NITRO from Six Flags Great Adventure. This B&M hypercoaster is an amazing hypercoaster with some really good floater airtime moments. Despite this coaster may have a bit of a roughness of a shakiness like a rattle and some of the bottom of the valleys, I think the airtime is really good. I really enjoy riding this coaster, and I really do like riding this whenever I go to Great Adventure. I think the color scheme looks absolutely dumb, but you know what? The ride experience makes up. The setting in the woods is actually really cool, and honestly, I really enjoy riding NITRO. It's fun, floater airtime everywhere, and I really enjoy those airtime hills on the end of the ride. Those last run of hills do give some pretty nice floater to possibly projector, depending on how fast the ride is going. But overall, NITRO is absolutely an amazing ride and it's definitely a must-do when you go to Great Adventure. But coming to the number 14 spot, we have KUMBA from Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. The classic B&M sit-down looper that is KUMBA is an absolutely intense monster with some great inversions. Every B&M looper that I've ridden that is a non-invert was okay to at best. But KUMBA is really different. Despite it may have the basic layout of any B&M looper coaster, but it is really good for some reason because of the intensity. KUMBA holds the intensity unlike most four-wheel coasters out there. Every moment gives a great dose of positive G-forces, and the pacing that this ride offers is absolutely amazing. You whip through all those elements with great speed, and I really enjoy the ending with that low to the ground helix where you can actually touch the grass. I know, right guys? But overall, KUMBA is an absolutely amazing ride, and I really do enjoy riding it whenever I'm at Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. But coming to the number 13 spot, we have Jersey Devil Coaster from Six Flags Great Adventure. Jersey Devil Coaster is the only RMC Raptor and is my first RMC on the list. This RMC is very powerful with some great ejector airtime. I love the rides inversions, and overall, I really think Jersey Devil is an underrated roller coaster. Ever since it's opened, the ride has gotten hate for its bad pacing and all that other stuff because it isn't like the original Raptor clones. But you know what? I really enjoy this ride what it is. It has some great ejector airtime, the 0G stall is great, and you know what? That first drop in the back row is one of the best first drops out there. It is at least one of my favorite first drops. But overall, Jersey Devil Coaster is an absolutely phenomenal RMC that deserves a spot in my top 15. But coming at the number 15 spot, we have Raptor from Cedar Point. Raptor is one of the most insane B&M inverted roller coasters that I've ridden. I came into this ride thinking it would be really good invert and be my second favorite, but you know what? This ride really blew me away. Even though it isn't my favorite invert, it blew me away to where it actually ranks this high on my list. I thought this ride pulled the positives perfectly. It executed an inverted coaster on how I wanted it to. It executed the inversions correctly, in my opinion. The intensity was there, the whip was there, everything I love about this invert and any inverted roller coaster is on this invert, and I love how this ride runs. It runs so smooth for being an older invert. Overall, the ride is really fun with some amazing positives and great whip, and that's why I love Raptor from Cedar Point. But coming at the number 11 spot is my favorite B&M inverted coaster, which is MONTU from Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. MONTU is my favorite invert, and in my opinion, a perfect invert. It has the intensity, the inversions, and one of my all-time favorite inversions, and in my opinion the best moment on a B&M invert, the Batwing. The Batwing pulls so many good positives and it's just insane, especially if you're in the back row. The overall MONTU in my opinion is really good. What I think pushes this one above Raptor, not just the Batwing but the themed trenches. The themed trenches on this ride are actually really cool, and this invert tends to stay really low to the ground for most of the ride, which is able to keep most of its speed. I love the intensity. The elements that this ride have are in my opinion perfect, and in my opinion there will be no better invert out there. Coming at the number 10 spot is the one, the only Millennium Force from Cedar Point. The original Giga roller coaster standing at 310 feet is so good. This ride gets way too much hate for what it is. This ride has so many great elements. I love the speed, and honestly, this ride isn't intense. It's just pure fun, and that's what I love in this coaster. I love how fast it is, the pacing is really good, and overall Millennium Force is so much fun. I absolutely love riding this coaster. The front row, in my opinion, is the way to go because you get all those awesome visuals. I love what this ride has to offer, and it definitely is a must-do when you go to Cedar Point. I mean, come on, it's the original Giga Coaster, and one of my favorite coasters. What do you expect? I absolutely love this coaster. But coming to the number 9 spot is Magnum XL 200, also located at Cedar Point. Magnum XL 200 is an absolutely phenomenal aero hyper coaster. This ride is crazy, honestly. The first part of the ride is decent, it's an okay start, but then after you hit that turnaround, you hit those triangle hills, the ride is absolutely insane, especially if you're sitting in that magic seat, row 3. You're getting ejected out of your seats where you're virtually standing up. This past trip to Cedar Point, I actually got a trimless night ride, so the ride experience was even more crazy. You feel like you're standing on this final run of airtime hills, and the turnaround gives some crazy laterals if the trims are turned off. But overall, Magnum XL is a great coaster. But my favorite hyper coaster is MAKO from SeaWorld Orlando, which is landing at the number 8 spot. MAKO, in my opinion, is a perfect hypercoaster, with an amazing first drop with an amazing foot of airtime hills. To this ride actually giving borderline ejector, in my opinion, MAKO does the hypercoaster perfectly, and B&M perfected this design with MAKO. MAKO has some great moments of airtime, especially that 5-second flutter rail. That speed hill is good, and this ride is aged like butter. The ride is perfectly smooth. There is no roughness to be seen anywhere. Unlike some of B&M's coasters already have a rattle, MAKO has yet to develop one almost 6 years into service life. And honestly, MAKO is an absolutely phenomenal coaster, and I'm glad to have it as one of my home parks roller coasters. Coming at the number 7 spot is MAVERICK from Cedar Point. MAVERICK is one of my favorite Intamin roller coasters, the Intamin Blitz and the original one. This ride has some amazing moments that beyond vertical drop in the back rows, absolutely insane, as well as some other really good airtime moments and all that good stuff. The second launch is powerful, and I love that ending with the crazy snaps. Overall, MAVERICK is just a really fun roller coaster. The snaps in the beginning are really good, and the ejector airtime is amazing. The ride is very well paced and one of my favorite roller coasters at Cedar Point. It's definitely a ride that I will definitely do again. I got to have the chance to actually ride this with Grant, and it was an amazing time. Overall, MAVERICK is a really fun roller coaster and is a really good coaster, and is why it's in my top 10. But coming to the number 6 spot, we have Twisted Timbers from King's Dominion. This RMC hybrid coaster is my first ever RMC, and it is an absolutely amazing coaster. I love the way this airtime machine is. It delivers so much ejector airtime. Every pop of it is really good. It is really good sustained ejector, especially on those triple camelbacks. I really do like that barrel roll down drop. And overall, Twisted Timbers feels like a mini Steel Vengeance, and it really does. Overall, Twisted Timbers is a really fun RMC, and it is really hard to actually rank it this low in my opinion. Overall, I really do enjoy Twisted Timbers. It is an absolutely amazing airtime machine, and I really do enjoy riding this coaster, and it is definitely a must-do for King's Dominion's amazing top 2 that they have. But coming to the number 5 spot is ELTORO from Six Flags Great Adventure. This Intamin prefab wooden roller coaster is one of my favorite roller coasters. This is the first really elite roller coaster I got to ride. ELTORO is just so much fun. The ride is really just the first drop, the 2 insane camelbacks, and the rolling Thunderhill. I've heard some of my favorite moments on a roller coaster. They are absolutely insane, and they are just absolutely amazing for what the ride offers. Overall, ELTORO could have a little more, but it still is worth that top 5 position. Overall, ELTORO is an absolutely amazing coaster, and is definitely a reason to why I need to go back to Great Adventure. Coming at the number 4 spot is Intimidator 305 from King's Dominion. This is one of the most insane Giga roller coasters that I have ridden. This ride pulls deposits on the bow on that first drop with some amazing airtime, amazing snappy transitions. This ride, in my opinion, is what I love in a roller coaster. You saw Millennium Force at the number 10 spot. This is what I wish Millennium Force was, but even then, it is still an amazing ride. Both of these Gigas are absolutely amazing, but in my opinion, Intimidator 305 just has everything, but just a little more. It has the snaps of Maverick, but with the speed and height of Millennium Force. It's like if Millennium Force and Maverick had a baby, and honestly, King's Dominion had a winner in their hands. It's just sad that the GP think it's too intense for most. But coming at the number 3 spot is the Jurassic World VELOCICOASTER. This Intamin multi-launch is one of the most best roller coasters. It is what I consider a full package experience. If I had to say a favorite roller coaster to ride, this is it. This ride is so much fun. It is so re-rideable. I love the layout of this coaster. The theming makes this this whole ride experience amazing. There's some really good moments of airtime. The top hat's actually like really impressive. Like if I had to say any element better on Maverick, the top hat is better than every element on Maverick, and I'm like dead honest when I say that. VELOCICOASTER has everything: the Mosasaurus roll, the 0G stall. The inversions are executed perfectly. I don't think Universal could do anything to make this ride better. I think Universal has a perfect ride in their hands and really make it. It impresses everyone. I've never seen a person who has not liked VELOCICOASTER who's gotten off of it. They all loved it, and honestly, I can see why it's some people's favorite, but I do have two coasters ranked above us, which actually, these two coasters are always switching between each other ever since I rode my number one, but these coasters are always switching between each other, so let's review the number two. But coming at the number two spot is Iron Gwazi from Busch Gardens, Tampa Bay. This RMC Hyper Hybrid is an absolutely amazing coaster with some of the most unique elements on an RMC. Neil Thurman described this coaster saying that this is RMC at its finest, and I cannot agree more. This ride is so amazing. I can't even describe it still. I can like just say that every element's amazing. There is no dead spot on the coaster, and it's just perfect. There's like almost nothing better than this coaster. Like out of all the coasters I've ridden, this will probably be always a top 5 coaster for me. And despite it may not be my number one, Iron Gwazi is still an absolutely phenomenal ride with me clocking over 25 rides on it. I absolutely love this coaster, and I'm actually about to go ride it very soon, and I'm just going to continue riding it for years. I'm glad my home park RMC is finally open, and yeah, I absolutely love this coaster to bits, and it's just so great. That wave turn over the station and the death roll are both amazing. Both those elements are amazing. The rest of the ride's amazing. There's so many great airtime moments on it, and Iron Gwazi is an absolutely must-do and Florida's best roller coaster by far. And finally, at the number one spot is the one and only Steel Vengeance from Cedar Point, America's rockin' roller coaster. Steel Vengeance is the definition of a perfect roller coaster. It has amazing ejector. There are so many pops of ejector airtime. No wonder why it has the most airtime on a roller coaster. The outwards bank turn is absolutely amazing because of how sustained it is. The ride in general is just amazing. I just love how it is. The ride is well paced. All my rides were trimless, so we flew through that second half. And overall, Steel Vengeance is an absolutely phenomenal roller coaster. A roller coaster that I don't think can be topped for a very long time. But you know what? Iron Gwazi is just as good almost, so they are still battling it out. But for now, Steel Vengeance is my number one all-time favorite roller coaster, and it is an absolutely amazing ride with all the airtime moments. The inversions are great. I love the ride. It's just awesome, and I just can't describe it. I just love riding Steel Vengeance, and it's one of the reasons why I really want to go back to Cedar Point, and Steel Vengeance is just absolutely amazing. So that is going to do it for today's video on my top 15 favorite roller coasters of so far of summer of 2022. Tell me how you guys think of my list. It has changed quite a bit from my last list, actually, especially of my top coasters. Later this year, I am going to plan on doing a top 30 or top 25 because I am riding more coasters later this year. But how do you guys like my coaster list so far? And tell me what your favorite coasters are down below in the comment section down below. I would appreciate if you guys can subscribe and like the video and share it to get it out there to more people. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in the next one, and bye everyone.